Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the UK&I Monday Night Skippies. This time on a Wednesday night. And, well, it's going to be me, Connery Maddock, as well as Linus Broström, but in the commentary box here. And, well, this race did get moved from the 25th of December. I wonder what goes on that date to this date for pretty obvious reasons. Linus, no one wants to be racing on Christmas, but actually, scratch that. Everyone wants to be racing on Christmas, but there are some other issues to deal with, shall we say.
That's why you live in Sweden, because we celebrate on the 24th, so the 25th is not special here, but, you know, that's because we're just weird.
Yeah, you are very, very weird indeed. And, well, qualifying is just finishing itself up right now. Currently, Fahim Antonides, provisional pole position, as we're just waiting for a couple of other runners to finish their qualifying laps. The likes of Colin Reese in the 900 car, Stephen McCaffrey, Bod Boland, and Darrell Taylor. In fact, they're going to cancel their laps here. So I think we're pretty much done and set to go through the grid. Pole position is going to be Fahim Antonides with a 56.9 second lap. Very fast laps here at the Suzuka East Circuit. And it's going to be Mark Mercer joining Fahim on the front row. The second row will consist of Stuart Adcock and Tom Ward. Bill Fraser, Simon Edwards will line up behind them, taking things down to 6th. Peter Cowan, 7th. Ben Daniels, 8th. Matt Cox, P number 9. And Nick Sigley will round out your top 10. Further down the field, you have the likes of Ryan G. Walker, P number 11, Robert Plumley, P12, Paul Thurston getting himself a good qualifying time, bringing himself up to P number 13. Darrell Taylor is going to be lining up on the same row as him in P number 14. Anthony Catt, Christopher Cash bring things down to P number 16. We also got Nicholas Vaughan Roberts, James McCritchie, Alan Patterson, and Ryan Hewitt rounding out your entirety of your top 20. Then we cycle things even further back. We got likes of Chris Morris, Simon Maltby, Barry West, Anthony Downs bringing things down to P24. Then it's Mark Chorley, Stephen McCarthy, Jez Banks, Andrew Bolton, Jake Riddington, David Hardwick will round out your top 30. And then the rest of the cars at the back of the field will be the likes of Bod Boland, Dave M. Dowson, Darren Morris, and Richard Warmingham. We've also got likes of Tim Adcock, Lewis Cannell, Colin Reese as well, going to be joining us on this starting grid. They, of course, did not set a lap time, which is why they are so far back. Not as many cars as we usually get here in the Monday Night Skippies, because by it being on the Wednesday night, perhaps people didn't make the time to be able to join us, but we still have 36 cars potentially taking themselves to the grid as they all get themselves ready and stacked up. First round of the season was quite interesting. The lack of Tom Ward means he drops his first round almost immediately. Mark Mercer managing to take the win there, and that will be a fantastic fight if we get it. Tom Ward, 5-time champion versus Mark Mercer, 8-time champion. If that one goes right until the end of the season, then that could be a fantastic fight. But just a couple of seconds now as people get themselves towards the grid. Rolling forwards is Simon Edwards. Wonder if he'll get a penalty, but revving. And we will go here at Suzuka East Circuit. Good start from most of your front of your field there as they all filing single file, almost 3 wide off the start. Further back behind them, though, Simon Edwards in the middle of this one currently, though, and Tom Ward looking towards the inside in your front pack there as they follow away through this double right-hander in the first lap here. There's Matt Cox trying to battle with Nick Sigley around the outside. He'll go around the outside of turn number 2, and he will file himself in ahead of those guys. Still side-by-side action going on behind. Coming through the S's for the first time, Darrell Taylor in 22, currently battling out with Anthony Catt there as they head their way through the latter part of the S's here. It's going to be very, very slow going too wide through here. You can see they've almost split themselves immediately off the pack ahead of them. They've got to be very, very careful about that as Christopher Cash decides to get himself involved here. Tries to make his way down the inside of the final corner, but he's not going to get the momentum off, I don't think. But in fact, Anthony Catt gets terrible momentum off the corner, allows Cash to recover that one as we complete the first lap. Relatively clean first lap, Linus.
Yeah, that was actually a really clean lap. I didn't see any contact anywhere, so we're used to seeing clean starts, but that was very, very nice. And we had one car going on pit road as well. I wonder if that was someone serving a penalty. Simon Edwards, you said, was rolling on the start, so that's probably what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't see Simon Edwards anywhere near inside of that top group, so he has dropped back and taken that penalty. Yep, he is still in his box and just rolls off of it now, so that is an embarrassing start to the race for Simon Edwards. Just let the car just roll off the line. It's not like he jumped the start at all, it's just let the car roll forward, and if you do that enough in iRacing, it's going to get you with a stop-and-go penalty.
Yes, indeed, and so far we got very clean race, single file all the way down to the P25, P30 somewhere. No real moves
slow down penalty
made anywhere.
Slow down penalty for Fahim Antonides, and that is going to be absolutely crucial. Look how slow he's going on the straight here. He got that slow down coming through what is the final complex here, I believe. Maybe cut that second to last corner a little bit too much, run wide over the curb, and oh my god, he's just all the way down at B number 13 right now. So drop 12 positions from pole position there for Fahim Antonides. He has his work cut out now to try and get himself back near the front. But looking at that front pack though, Tom Ward just currently harassing the back of the 8-time champion of Mark Mercer there, heading their way through the S's. And this is a track where it's relatively difficult to overtake, Linus, because there aren't that many heavy braking zones. Of course, if we did the full Suzuka circuit, then obviously that wouldn't be the case, but with this East circuit, it's pretty much just the entirety of the first sector and then the final corner, and that's about it.
Yeah, and it's constantly turning, so you don't really get a run on anyone either to move up the inside, as you never have a straight where you get draft apart from the front straight where we see them going down now. And going into turn 1, that's pretty much the only good passing opportunity that you have, and as you see, they're still going to be single file into turn 1, so I'm not expecting to see a whole lot of passing by the looks of it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like at all as the front pack head their way through turns 1 and 2, and in fact this front pack extends all the way down towards P number 11. That is Paul Thurston, and if he can stick himself with this pack, that could be on for a very good result from him. He's already gained a couple of positions on his qualifying position up into P number 11 from P number 13 on the grid, and looking for more perhaps by the end of this race. It's going to be 26 laps.
We got a lap car crashing right in front of the leaders as well, and he is going to stay off the track just enough.
Yeah,
wow.
That was Dave Dowson there, just having major issues coming through the final couple of corners, pushed wide in the second to last corner, got on the grass, spun it towards that Armco barrier, and luckily he's out of the way of pretty much everyone there. As looking to Mark Mercer now, he's going to try and go around the outside of turn number 1, but just these passing opportunities just aren't happening for most of your front group right now. It's just single file, nose to tail, as Adcock gets a huge slide through turn number 2. This is the passing opportunity that Mark Mercer needed. Tom Ward is going to try and capitalize on it as well as they head through the S's. Another slide from Adcock around the inside, around the outside now. He has to go for the second apex, but manages to keep himself ahead. Scary moment for Adcock.
Yeah, that could have ended really, really badly, but he somehow managed to keep control of the car and only drop 1 position. So lucky for him. Now he'll really have to fight to get that lead back. It doesn't look like the draft is working as well on this track, so I don't know if he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, the only really major drafting section is all the way down this front straight, which the front pack are coming down right now, as Adcock will have the run over Mercer coming down in towards the braking zone. But can he make this move stick? There have been people that have absolutely just failed to make this move stick when it comes to it. Around the outside he has to go. Tom Ward will try to dive down Adcock's inside. In fact, will do. Gets himself there towards turn number 2. And oh my god, that was very, very close there for Stu Adcock. Got tagged there by Tom Ward. Drops back another position. Just lets Bill Fraser on his way through. And another scary moment for Adcock. And I have to worry he's going to get a heart attack soon.
Yeah, he's under huge pressure right now, and I don't know if he's unbalanced the car or something going into turn 1 there, but a couple of mistakes 2 laps in a row, and that is not going to go well for him if he keeps doing that. Dropping down the order every single lap.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the case right now. As you just cycle things back through towards your mid-pack. There's a good fight going on right now between the 26 of Simon Maltby and Fahim Antonides, as Antonides tries to make his way back up through the field. Your pole position sitter fell foul of a slowdown penalty coming through the final sector, which is why he's down in what is going to be currently, as it changes, actually he gains the position, so P number 15 is going to be for Fahim Antonides. James Ricci also on the back of these two as well could should have something to say about it when it comes towards this middle part of this race right now. But this front pack leaders hasn't really split up. They've been following each other nose to tail for the 7 laps that we've had so far, and front pack just extends down to P number 12. It doesn't break up like we used to seeing it.
No, I don't really know why that is, but it might be that they're still battling a little bit at the front and no one's really getting away, and Tom Ward is just looking to get the leader, but he has to back out and almost get hits from behind. But I don't really know why it's not spreading out, that's for sure. Which is good though, because then we get a good battle.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of a double-edged sword as he comes Bill Fraser, and 3 wide for the race lead. It's going to be down into turn number 1. Tom Ward inside, Fraser on the outside. Fraser, that has a fantastic amount of momentum. He carried around the outside turn number 1, but a little bit too much for making the apex of turn number 2. Side by side for the race lead now, coming down in towards the SS section for the 8th time. Bill Fraser, your new race leader, with a fantastic move around the outside of 2 cars coming down into the braking zone of 1. But now it's going to be a case of if he can hold it or not.
Yeah, it was a good job by them to go too wide through those first 2 corners without contact. And Tom Ward just backed out, didn't want to take a risk, and probably looking to make the same move again now going into turn 1. The exit onto the straightaway is going to be crucial here as we see the front 2 getting a little bit of a gap as well.
Yeah, they're starting to try to pull out that gap, and that could be crucial to break those 2 away, but the cars behind are still solidly within that drafting zone. Here comes Stuart Adcock making the move on Mark Mercer, potentially into turn number 1. Here comes Tom Ward for the race lead over Bill Fraser, though, as he will get that race. He's squirrely on the brakes. He's going to go, manages to get that car slowed down for turn number 1 and turn number 2. Mercer trying an alternate line around the outside there, coming through turn number 2. Not going to benefit him at all, as Tom Ward gets himself towards the race lead after qualifying in P number 4. It's not he doesn't usually pull off the greatest of qualifying efforts, but when it comes to his race pace, Tom Ward is almost completely unmatched.
Yeah, and that shows by the number of championships that he's got. He keeps winning them, and he missed the first round, which could make this year interesting. I expect him to be at the top at the end of the season anyway, if he just makes the rest of the races.
Yeah, a terrible run through the final corner for him. Allows Bill Fraser to get himself back alongside as they head across the start-finish line. Here, there's Mark Mercer behind, just watching, stalking, gets the toe off of Ward, moves towards driver's right. Can he get the 2-for-1 special coming down into turn number 1? And that was a defensive line taken there for Tom Ward as they're still battling for the lead. There's a little bit of contact there between the 2 drivers. Lets Tom Ward back through, potentially Stuart Adcock also getting himself back through, trying to get himself back up to those podium spots, and in fact will only just slot himself into P number 3 there, Linus.
Yeah, we got a battle behind them as well between Robert Plumley and Matt Cox, I think he is at the front of this pack. They've been going side by side all the way around this lap so far through all the corners, no contact, and that is going to split this lead group up into 2 bunches of 6s. As they single file out again, but he's looking to make the move back on the inside, has to back out to him. Plumley will advance up into P number 7, I believe that is.
Yes, he will, as they head their way across the line. It's going to be another run for Matt Cox, another run at the front of your field, though, as there's a car coming off of pit lane. Just be careful of that one. That's Chris Morris heading his way off the line. Battle for P number 2 now. Adcock around the outside, Tom Ward inside. There's a huge slide from your race leader. Tries to hold it around there, but Tom Ward will get the better momentum off the corner. Can't challenge coming down into the second apex, though, because he has Stuart Adcock just on his inside there. So side by side for P number 2, again coming through the S's section. Adcock will just have to drop back behind for now. But Bill Fraser, he's doing a relatively good job of staying ahead of these guys, but I'm always worried every single time he gets that car into the slide. Same with Stuart Adcock.
Yeah, they seem to be sliding a lot in 1 and 2, and luckily they always save it, but it seems like they have to make these cars really, really unstable to make them faster around here. Doesn't look like looks like Tom Ward has mastered that a little bit better than the other 2 at the front right now, but we'll see how that plays out as they're going side by side yet again.
Yet again, it's going to be Adcock trying to get himself back up towards P number 1, gets P number 2 as they head their way down into turn number 1. opportunity was there, though, coming down into turn number 2. This is a car dropping down the timing screens right now. I believe that is Stephen McCarvey in the 091 car having major issues coming out of the final turn. In fact, was running around about P20 when that happened, and he just clipped the grass on the outside just ever so slightly, just too tired on there, and just headed himself into that barrier on the outside.
Yeah, and in these open wheel cars, that'll just destroy the suspension, so there's no point in keeping on going after even a tiny hit like that, unfortunately, as Tom Ward is trying to make a move again here to get back up to second, but he didn't get to run off the corner, so that could actually cost him a spot rather than gain him one, and they go side by side for the lead instead.
Yep, it could well cost him even more than one spot here, as both Tom Ward and Stuart Adcock make their way through. Here comes Mark Mercer around the outside into turn number 1, potentially not going to make that move stick, though, so you know, it's when you're at the front of this pack, you can't afford to get a bad run out of the final 10, because you're just going to get a whole stream of cars coming left and right, and there's not all that much you can do about that with the amount of time you spend 100% throttle down that straight in these Skip Barber cars. They're not the fastest of machines by any means in a straight line. It just means that they have more time to get themselves back past you if you have a terrible run. But Fraser back down to P number 3 right now, which is still a decent day for him. Qualified P number 5. So I don't think he'll be too unhappy with the podium finish here. But since he did lead the race just a couple of laps ago, he could be looking for more here as they head their way onto lap number 14 now. As Ward's still a little bit too far back potentially over Stuart Adcock. He's going to go for the move anyway. Defensive inside line taken by Adcock, forcing Ward around the outside, battling behind though as well between Mercer and Fraser. As yes, a little bit of contact between the two as Fraser gets in a slide again, coming all the way through the corner. Car off ahead of them as well. That was a car a lap down, I believe. Jez Banks having themselves major issues, and major issues potentially in this front pack as well, considering how many bits of contact that Bill Fraser has had, but his car still seems miraculously fine.
Mark Mercer had a bit of contact there though, and he's dropped back quite a bit through these corners. I don't know if that was due to bad line or if he's got some sort of suspension damage, and he keeps on falling behind this group, so we'll have to see if he pits here perhaps, or yes, he's going to pull into pit road, so that's it for Mark Mercer.
Oh, that is an absolute shame for the 8-time champion of this series. We'll have to pull in and get that fast repair, but he won't be competing for any major points in this one. Side by side for the race lead yet again into turn number 1. Tom Ward around the outside this time, potentially trying to hold it as Adcock gets one back on the inside of turn number 2, runs Tom Ward off the track there, coming onto the grass, coming out of turn number 2. And this is now Bill Fraser's chance to try and do something here. He's carried so much speed through that apex there, but still manages to hold it. Gets a little bit wide on exit though, but still no issues for him as he tries to wheel that car all the way through this S's section. Put Fraser back up into P number 2, as there's still 5 drivers that could potentially win this race, Lance.
Yes, there are, and actually in the group behind him was 6 cars earlier. It's now 7 because Fahim Antoniadis is caught up to the back. And he's going to be looking to work his way into the top 10 here and potentially be at the front of this back group when this race is over.
There is now a completely non-zero chance that Fahim Antoniadis can get himself back up to the front pack, but it would require a miracle for that one to try and get himself back up there. Is a squabbling for position P number 6 at the front of this second pack as Nick Sigley caught on the outside there. Ryan G. Walker just slotted his car right down the inside there. Good move for him, but still further battling in your front pack. That was Peter Cowan and Ben Daniels fighting here, and these two just haven't really been mixing it in at the front here. They've just been tagging on at the back of this train and trying to wait for an opportunity in the final couple of laps to bring themselves back, bring themselves up towards those podium positions. But they have to be careful. If they fight a bit too much, then they risk dropping off the back of this lead pack, as absolutely nose to tail that front 3 will go through the final turn here. Fraser not really getting a good run. Adcock not really getting a good run either. In fact, not a good run for any of your top 3, as Tom Ward will get the double toe coming down the pit straight here. And in fact, Bill Fraser will close up to the back of Stuart Adcock. Around the outside, he has to attempt. Will Tom Ward go to the inside? He does go to the inside. 3 wide for the race lead. Down into turn number 1. Little bit of wheel banging, between Tom Ward and Stuart Adcock, as Adcock will get the cutback move coming off of turn number 2. Will try to hold the race lead coming down into turn number 3, and he doesn't miss miss the apex, there, but still manages to hold position as nose to tail, front wing to rear wing. They're going to go through the S's section. Bill Fraser still there, still trying to do something about Tom Ward. Gets himself, look at that, he's absolutely pressing his nose right up to the gearbox of that friction racing machine ahead of him, and he's still no opportunity coming down into the final sector, but that's just brought Peter Cowan and Ben Daniels right back into this.
Yeah, they caught right back up when that started happening. A 3-wide through turn 1, just slight contact. That is pretty impressive as they go down the straight again, and Tom Ward is probably going to pull out. No, the leader's going to pull out to the left, right, so they're going to be 3-wide again. Tom Ward in the middle.
Why not 3-wide again as Tom Ward has to go down the middle a little bit of contact there with Stuart Adcock, as these guys are basically driving these cars like they're touring cars, but the thing is there's no bumpers or doors on these cars to protect yourself from damage, but they're going to do it anyway as Adcock looks for the inside line coming down into turn number 3. That one's going to get cut off relatively well there, Tom Ward, as he slides through the apex of the next one. But with the amount of slides that these guys have been pulling off, it doesn't seem to be detrimental at all to their race. It just depends on where you do it, as Fraser looks to the inside coming up through turn number 7. Still not on there as he pushes wide coming through the penultimate turn. Careful of contact with Peter Cowan there, as Cowan will go down the inside through the final turn. Both of them will have a compromised run off the corner here. Just allows your front two to start to battle it out at the front. This is Stuart Adcock coming around driver's left-hand side. I think he may be able to get this one done, but even before the braking zone here. So Tom Ward has to brake very, very late to try and keep the position here. But in fact, he is just going to be a little bit passive coming down through the first sector. Just surrenders that position to Stuart Adcock. But, you know, we still have about 7.5 laps left in this race. And it feels like these guys are fighting for the race win on the last lap every lap.
Yeah, they just keep battling it out all the time. And Peter Cowan looks like he's had enough of waiting here as he tried to get past Bill Fraser, but couldn't quite get the position. And now they're starting to get a little bit spread out up here, so maybe we can have 1 lap apiece.
Maybe we can have 1 lap apiece. As no, your race leader pushes wide, completely disregards what you said there, Linus, as Adcock pushes wide through the penultimate corner, but still manages to hold position coming down on towards the pit straight. Fraser has the double toe behind. Bill Fraser, number 13 machine, could potentially make it 3-wide yet again coming down into turn number 1. Defensive inside line taken by Adcock, and Ward and Fraser yet again try to make it 3-wide. A little bit of contact between Ward and Fraser there, and Peter Cowan diving himself down towards the inside, and this is what I like to see. He was just waiting at the back of that train for the most of the start of this race, and now Peter Cowan is making his way back through as the front runners make their mistakes. He's in the final step of the podium right now, and Bill Fraser still trying to search for a gap behind him, still not able to find it.
Yeah, Peter Cowan has been waiting, looking where everyone is making their mistakes, and now he's on a march to the front. I wonder if he's going to be able to get by some more though, but he could be the one to make a 3-wide going into turn 1 here. If he can just have a good run off this corner, it's going to be really, really crucial. He's backing it up just a little bit, and it looks like he's actually going to drop back from Tom Ward, but the draft could help him get back up there.
It could well help him as they spray up the dust there on driver's right-hand side of the pit straight, as Tom Ward does have the run around the outside of Adcock, but he's been absolutely firm and steady on that inside line through the first couple of corners. But Ward, this is the best chance he's had in the past couple of laps to try and get himself around. Onto the grass he goes. Careful with rejoining there, but he rejoins just fine. Here comes Fraser potentially down the inside of Peter Cowan as they try to jostle for position coming through this S's section. Look at Bill Fraser. He's absolutely, I said before, he's absolutely wheeling that thing through the S's section. It definitely seems like he's the fastest of this group through this particular section. He's just, you know, it's not a section where you can particularly pass at, as the door is closed again right in his face coming towards the exit of here. No! Bill Fraser tags the back of Peter Cowan. Both of them still manage to keep going. Suspension damage potentially for Cowan. We'll see how that one plays out as he heads his way down towards turn number 1, but that's not what we wanted to see. The frustration definitely showed there from Fraser.
Yeah, he was really impatient for the assist there, and he did not want to be behind Cowan going through those corners. He wanted to catch up to the front two, and instead now with that contact they managed to pull away. Adcock is going to hold the lead over Ward for this lap.
Yes, he is, but I'm worried about that number 99 machine right now, because that right rear suspension I don't think looks too healthy, at least eyeballing it, as Tom Ward tries to bump Stuart Adcock out of the way coming through the latter parts coming through the halfway stage of the S's section there, but still not going to be working for him. This is not NASCAR, Tom Ward, despite what you may think it is. There's actually, you know, Peter Cowan, he's doing very well to hold himself here, even with that little bit of damage to the rear right. Still running relatively competitive lap time, still in P number 3 right now, and still within the double toe distance of those front two as we're heading towards 4 laps to go now. And how many times have we commentated this battle, Lena? Stuart Adcock versus Tom Ward, again for the race win. They're battling for season championships in season past, but it's going to be a battle for another race win for both of the veterans.
Yeah, it's a reoccurring thing in this championship, but Tom Ward looks like he's gotten a little bit more patient now when they spread out behind him. He's not really made the move, and I don't know if that's because he's not got the speed or that he just wants to wait. But Cowan and Daniels is caught up behind him, so now he'll have to get back to the front if he wants to have a chance to win this, because when Cowan catches the back of his car, he's not going to wait.
Yeah, he definitely is not going to just stay there behind the driver ahead of him, as coming up to 3 laps to go now, still completely undecided in this front pack. There's still 5 drivers could potentially be taking the checkered flag here. Peter Cowan has a good run on Tom Ward coming down the front straight here. Decides to stay on that outside line while Tom Ward tries to go to the inside to try and get position over your race leader. Diving down the inside it goes, but there's a little bit less space than he thought there and has to back out of the move. So Adcock will still hold the race lead. Terrible run through turn number 2 though, but that is not fatal because of this section where you can't really make an overtaking move. So sneaking their way through the S's section now, and Tom Ward still, even though this isn't a section you can't really overtake on, he's still looking for those opportunities, just like Bill Fraser did on the previous couple of laps. But we all know what happened to Bill Fraser, so Tom Ward has to be very, very careful here. Coming up to 2 laps to go as they head their way through the final 2 corners. And Bill Fraser at the back of this pack has managed to get himself, even with that bit of damage he has to the front end, still competitive in terms of lap time. So 2 laps to go now. Defensive inside line for Stuart Adcock yet again, but I think this one might just be in vain because someone has such an overspeed coming down into turn number 1. Still alongside as Adcock though could potentially hold it here. He looks for the gap, tries to find the gap, finds the gap for turn number 2, gets the slide on coming through the apex as well. Side by side for the race lead in the final couple of laps here. Tom Ward, Stuart Adcock yet again. Many times throughout the series this has happened as Tom Ward holds it around the outside of the S section. This is going to bunch everyone back up behind. Peter Cowan, Ben Daniels, Bill Fraser, they are also going side by side trying to jostle for position through the S's as well. As Bill Fraser, has he learnt his lesson? Has he learnt to be a little bit more patient coming through this penultimate corner? We'll just have to wait and see. It's almost contact between Daniels and Cowan there. Cowan will have to push wide in P number 3. Ben Daniels will take P number 3. So white flag is going to be in the air. It's going to be pretty much a straight dogfight between Tom Ward and Stuart Adcock. Here comes Adcock around driver's left-hand side. Last lap to do it, Adcock. Last lap to get yourself ahead. And can he do it on the brakes coming down into turn number 1? This is his first and maybe only opportunity to try and do something. Drags the brakes around the outside. Tom Ward stays on that inside line, very steadfast on that inside line, battling behind though, but we'll focus on this lead battle. Still side by side up towards turn number 3 now. Adcock will get the inside line, and that could be his defense done unless Adcock makes a very brave move coming through the last couple of corners. We will just have to wait and see. Don't count out Bill Fraser, Ben Daniels if things go all so wrong at the front of this field, as Ward does get the slide on through the middle of the S's section, and it looks like he potentially could make the move into the final corner here, get a good run off the corner potentially, and he could get yet another race win to add to his tally. But no, fantastic run out of the corner for Adcock. Stuart Adcock in the number 52 machine will take the race win here at Suzuka East.
Bill Fraser lost all his speed coming off the last corner and dropped from 3rd to 5th in just 50 meters. That was really weird.
That was very weird indeed, as the rest of your drivers head their way across the line now. A couple of finishes outside the top 20 looking to head their way across the line, but wow, that was a relatively good race there, you have to say, Linus. Side-by-side battling through the first half of the final lap for P number 1, P number 2. Can't ask for much more.
No, that was really good racing. At first it didn't look like it was going to be a whole lot of racing going on, but they just turned the table around and started passing each other every single lap and trying to pass and places where you're not supposed to be passing. And look at Fahim Antonides, had a slowdown, dropped down to like 15th place, worked his way back up to 6th. That is impressive.
It is very impressive. Well, we do have to go through your official race results in this special edition of the Monday Night Skippies on a Wednesday night. Let's go through it now. Stuart Adcock will get the #1 when all is said and done, but he had to really work for it. Tom Ward has to settle for P2, and Ben Daniels getting himself onto that 3rd step of the podium. Fantastic result for him. Another fantastic result as well for Peter Cowan, getting himself inside that top 5 with the P4 spot there. And Bill Fraser, even though with the lots of little bits of contact that he had, still a top 5 finish for him. Fahim Antonides, as you said, Linus, got that slowdown penalty in the early stages, but dragged himself back up for a good points haul for P6. Robert Plumley, P7. Ryan Walker getting himself up to P8 as well. Paul Thurston getting himself a top 10 finish as well. P9. And Matt Cox will round out your top 10. Then looking outside the top 10, you got the likes of Christopher Cash, Nick Sigley, P11, P12. Darrell Taylor, James McCritchie, Simon Maltby will round out your top 15. Anthony Catt, Barry West with a decent finish for him, gets himself up from P23 to P17. Alan Patterson gaining himself 1 position to get himself P18. Mark Mercer, though, with that damage suffered in the early stages, has to drop himself back to P19 after starting 2nd. And then Jake Riddington will round out your top 20. David Hardwick, P21. Simon Edwards drops back to P22 as well. Nicholas Vaughan Roberts, P23. Bod Boland and Colin M. Rees will round out your top 25. Then you've got the likes of people a lap down and more. Ryan Hewitt, Andrew Bolton, Chris Morris, Mark Chorley, Jez Banks, Stephen McCaffrey, Anthony Downs, Darren Morris, Dave M. Dawson, and Lewis Cannell will round out your field that started this race for this 35-car event. Well, we will just go to a short ad break just for now, as we will try to get our drivers in towards the interview booth to speak to them about their races. We'll see you guys in a bit. Welcome back, everyone, to the post-race show here in the Monday Night Skippies Suzuka East Racing Circuit, which is the track that we just attended. And well, it did give us a fantastic race in the end, as we will start to get our drivers in towards the interview booth here. And let's try and get Fahim Antonides up to talk to us here, as he will finally get himself in the booth there. And Fahim, that was a bit of a roller coaster race for you.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, great. Yeah, first of all, Merry Christmas, and here's for a great New Year for everybody, and thanks for the broadcast. I wasn't expecting one today. In fact, I didn't even know the race was on today. I thought it was on Monday, and I was going to give it a skip, but I came on to do some practice for this week's track, and I saw in the sessions that it was on. So anyway, yeah, it was a roller coaster race. I got 2 slowdown penalties in the first 2 laps, and that dropped me down to 17th, I think. But it was a really good fun race, trying to come up through the field, and I managed to tag on just about to the leading pack in the end. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, maybe just another couple of laps you could have said something perhaps about those podium positions, and that would be a great comeback after getting 2 slowdown penalties. I think we only saw the one there for him, but getting 2 slowdown penalties after you started pole position is no one's idea of a great plan.
No, it isn't. No, I got 2 slowdowns, one after the other, and you know, I often think that these races need to be two laps longer, because so many times, not just myself but other people as well, could have done with those extra 2 laps just to get on the podium or the win. So, but hey, it is what it is.
It's sometimes so often the case in racing. You just go 1 or 2 more laps and could have done something, but
why don't they just do that? Just give us another 2 laps.
Maybe you have to speak to Alan about that one for him, sir. You know, we have no
yeah,
power
I'll go and bend his ear now.
we just tell the story of the race, but thank you very much for joining us in the box. Fantastic comeback drive
Cheers.
for you after those early issues. And why not, let's just get Ryan Walker up in the booth here. Goodbye for that for him.
Evanson.
Sorry to interrupt your conversation there, Ryan, but you did come away with a P8 finish when all is said and done, and that was a decent race for you in that second pack.
Yeah, that was no problem about interrupting me. Yeah, that was a pretty intense but awesome race. It's probably the best race, or the best race I've had in the UK&I Skip Barber League, and I'm quite happy to finish in P8, considering I only got a chance to do practice 10 minutes before qualifying, because I didn't finish work until 8 PM, so it was a mad dash home, and yeah, qualifying was basically my practice. But P8 after not getting a chance to practice this version of Suzuka, I'll happily take that. And yeah, that battle in the second pack was absolutely awesome. It was good to race against the likes of Paul Thurston and Robert Plumley and Matt Cox and Fahim as well. But yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it did seem pretty frantic in the second pack for, you know, on the occasions that we saw it, but it was in the last race you got a result of P number 19, and this one you get yourself inside the top 10, so a little bit of a recovery from that first race, but does this set you up for the rest of the season now?
Yeah, well, my aim for the excuse me, the aim for this season is maybe just to try and finish in the top 10 this season, but with there being so many quick drivers at the front and in the mid pack as well, it'll be a tough job. But yeah, we'll just see how it goes and take each race. I'll say it again, each race as it comes.
Yeah, that's definitely what you have to be doing in a series such as this. Thank you very much for joining us, Ryan. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Just a big shout out to Satellite Racing and Mad Cape Racing, and yeah, thanks to anyone that likes to watch me on the broadcast, watch me on the broadcast. Your support's appreciated. That's about it, really.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan, as we will look to get your P number 4 finisher in the commentary booth right now. That's Peter Cowan, as Peter will eventually try to join us as we fight over the TeamSpeak permissions. But Peter, that is a very, very good result from you. Perhaps the best result that I've seen you pull off, especially when you consider that you finished P number 25 in the last race. Getting yourself inside that top 5, that must be an achievement.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, it was unexpected, really. It was I turned up at about 8 o'clock, hadn't turned a lap, and then obviously I just found the knack of that last little section and was in the top 10 of all the sessions. So very nice to mix it with some clean air at the front.
Yeah, it was a relatively quiet race for you, at least in the first half of the race. You were basically doing what I like to call a Clark Williams, and just like stay behind and just stay in that front pack, just stalk at the back of that front pack, and then in the last couple of laps, make your moves towards the front. Was that the plan from the start?
Yeah, well, I'm a cyclist in my real life, so I know how to just hide behind the wheels and just wait for things to happen in front of me. But also, I didn't really want to get that involved with the championship hopefuls, because I knew I was my sort of inclusion in that group was probably pretty a one-off. But I was getting racier as the race went on. But then I had a couple of bits of contact on my rear suspension with Ben and forgive me, I've forgotten the other chap's name, but that
Bill Fraser.
Bill Fraser, yeah, and the car was not wanting to turn right very well by the end, so you know, the result is what it is. But I was hoping for a podium.
Yeah, after you got that bit of damage to your rear right suspension, I thought you were going to drop back through the field, but you seem to hold it relatively well up there, even with the damage that did happen to your car. So that is, you know, even though you didn't get the podium positions that looked potentially on the cards at points during that race, P number 4 is still a fantastic result. It's a good points haul for you in the championship. You did say that you don't expect to be fighting inside of this top 3, top 5 in the championship, so that's why you were a bit more passive. But you got to say, you know, P number 4, are there another couple of those in you?
Well, I don't really get enough time to sit on this, to be honest. So a couple of years ago, I was more knocking on the top 5 more often, but I'm really just in for Mondays now, and even sitting down at 7 o'clock, I struggle to. So I think I'll be back where I belong next time.
Well, maybe or maybe not. We will just have to wait a little bit shorter than we usually have to wait, unless Alan does want to move the race yet again because it's on New Year's Day. But I don't know what is going to happen with that one. Maybe we will have a race on New Year's Day, maybe we won't. But either way, we will be broadcasting it here on RaceSpotTV. Thank you, Peter Cowan, for joining us in the commentary booth here. We've still got a couple more drivers to get ourselves a couple of words with. Why not? Let's get Paul Thurston up into the booth. As I will be joined, and, well, it's going to be our typical weekly chat with the UK&I club captain, as I don't think that ever gets old, Paul. I'm sure you'll agree. But, again, a great result for you, top 10, and we know that's what you aim for in every race. It finally did happen here at Suzuka East.
Yeah, well, obviously a bit lucky in that it's a smaller grid than usual, but I seem to be quite quick in practice. I was, I think, 5th fastest, something like that, and I was actually quick even without a draft. I didn't get a decent qualifying, but it was almost impossible to overtake here. I mean, when we were in that, I was in that little group, the second group that broke away from the front pack because we were battling. But we were doing, I knew I could go faster than we were going in free air. It's very frustrating when you're at a draft track like that. But you can't blame, you know, whoever it was. I think it was I might have been Matt at the front of the group who was battling. You've got to battle, because if you let someone past, you know absolutely you're not going to get back past them again. So you've just got to defend for your life. It's such great racing. I mean, I really enjoyed that, because it was really nose to tail the whole time. Then we had Fahim coming back at us. He gave us a Christmas present, then took it back. I thought that was quite rude. And Chris Cash just behind Dowell. You know, and you know, I can see him on the F3. I can see, like, sort of there's like less than a second between the 3 cars behind me. You know, I make one little mistake, I'm stuffed. That was fun.
It definitely looked very fun as well, because as we mentioned before, that second pack looked very frantic, and it was very frantic at the front with the leaders going 3 wide multiple times in a row into towards turn number 1. And that turn number 1 was pretty much your only realistic overtaking opportunity, because the rest of the track, you're just stuck behind another car, one line through most of the corners.
Basically, yeah. I mean, it's all about getting close out of that final corner. The problem we had in our pack was that there's always someone else in front. So, you know, if there's someone in front of the guy in front of you, they're getting the draft as well. You just don't get the advantage. I was Ryan and I were as quick as each other, basically, out of there. I was quicker into that final corner. I was cutting the corner more, and I probably would have been quicker around that corner if there hadn't been cars in the way. Now, if they'd been so good as to get out of my way, I'd have been able to get past. Unfortunately, they didn't. But that's the art, isn't it? There was no way past until Matt made a mistake into turn 2, just slid wide, and I just managed to get alongside him and stay around the outside into 3. And he couldn't do a lot about the second right-hander into the S's, and I was quite quick through the S's. And I just managed, and then I had to just concentrate for my life to keep him behind me for the final 5-6 laps. Oh, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations where you have to make the move decisive down into those first 2 turns, because if they're alongside of you going into the S's, you're just going to both slow each other down and you're losing the guys ahead of you. So that's an interesting one to try to negotiate. But looking through the rest of the season now, the first 2 rounds have been, shall we say, just
mixed.
Mixed, yeah, I was going to say that. Without mixed.
Well, the first one, you say that, but I was unlucky. I mean, basically, I was taken out in the previous round, but I was up there. You know, I was battling for, I can't actually remember where I was, but I was in a decent points position. I could see the top 10. I could see top 10 up ahead. I mean, if you look where Bill finished, I should have been finishing around that sort of area. So if I hadn't been taken out, I would have been quick. I seem to be quick. I've done a bit of work on my brake pedal, which seems to have made a nice change, you know, a nice improvement to the brake, which is critical in sim racing, absolutely critical, road racing at least. And so I don't know, just got to get that little bit quicker. Maybe I'll pull myself up the grid a little bit more. Do you know what the next track is?
I'm sure Linus can try and find that one for you. But you know, it's, you know, I've always seen you sort of improving race to race, season to season, and to get yourself more consistently inside that top 10 is absolutely great to see. But I do want to see you eventually in that front pack. Can you do that for me?
I'll do my best. I mean, if you've got a time machine and you go back about 5 years, you'll see me there.
Well, or maybe forward 5 years after you put in all the practice.
Yeah, something like that. It's there's a few things I need to do. I mean, I do need to basically get quicker. I need to. It's cliche to some extent, and it's sim racer's excuse. But you know, I do need slightly better kit. And I know a lot of the fast boys basically they've got the servo wheels. That does make these things. It's all about marginal differences at this level. If you look at how, you know, the difference between pole and 10th today, it was nothing. You get little marginal differences by improving the equipment you've got. Just by optimizing what I've done, I've pulled myself forward a little bit, and it gives you consistency. If I can do those, then I'll be nudging there. I'll be getting up there. I had a little battle with Mark in the practice session today, and we were basically all over each other. And I was right up with him, and then I'd overtake him, and then he'd get past me, and I'd get past him again. So if I get up there, I can still compete with them, you know, at least for short periods. I just needed to be able to do it for longer periods and just be that little bit quicker.
And the next circuit that we'll be heading ourselves towards is the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, and that one's going to be a brilliant race. I'm going to tell you that one now. Yeah,
it's tricky, Brands Hatch Indy. I've actually raced there for real back in my mini racing days back in '98. Paddock Hill Bend is so difficult, and then Druids, you've just got to be in the right place. Every single corner on the Indy circuit is awkward, and you really have to be. It's difficult enough to drive it without a car up your chuff. So yeah, that's going to be a very and you're lapping people after about 5 or 6 laps. Because you know people have come off and things like that, and if you get in the pits during the race and you want to come out, oh, you're in trouble. It's a very difficult track in the Indy circuit, but makes for great racing.
I thought 26 laps is going to be the lap record for UK&I Skip Racing Super Series, but it's the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, which has 28 laps, so 2 more times around for that particular circuit. It's going to be fast. It's going to be furious. But thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Paul Thurston. And
my pleasure as ever.
We'll just grab a couple of words with Barry West, as I do have Barry West in the box with me here. And yeah, again, it's going to be another decent-ish finish for you. You seem to be the most consistent mid-pack finisher I've ever seen. I don't know if you'll agree, but...
Well, it's just I try and keep out of trouble. Not very fast. I didn't get a decent lap in qualifying. Didn't get a toe behind anybody or anything. So it was a reasonable lap without a toe. But yeah, it was a really good race actually. It was. I got swamped a bit at the start, and then it's fighting back. So safer than just trying to fight the start and then lose places, you know, hand over fist or get pushed off. So yeah, I was behind Alan and Simon Maltby, and there was another one in front, and I could see what was going on. We were all pretty close. And then towards the end we came across back marker, which sort of split us up a little bit. And then with 2 to go, I just managed to creep past Alan. I think it was, he went wide a bit in turn 2, and I just managed to get down the inside. So it was pretty close up through the S's, but I just managed to hold off for the last lap. It was pretty close to the line. But yeah, it was a really good race. Interesting little track. I mean, we were all, what was it, 28 cars, I think, at one time, within a second of each other. So it was... and of course, once you're in the draft of somebody, you can't attack because you just lose so much time, and you just stay there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And with the race starts as frantic as they can, it can be in this UK&I series, it seems all relatively clean. And since you're a driver that doesn't usually qualify that near the front, usually back in the middle of the pack somewhat, usually it's a bit more frantic for you than the rest of the drivers because of all the cars around you. But everything seemed to be fine this time around.
Yeah, I mean, people stayed in their lanes and gave room and that. I think it's a wider track, so yeah, once you go into the S's, I mean, we were 2 by 2 going through the first bit, and then I did get up the inside, I think up the inside of Alan on the first lap as you go into the bottom of the S's, and I know from experience that if you try and go through there too wide, somebody's got to yield, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and then I was stuck there then for the rest of the race, but until the last but one lap. But yeah, I mean, everybody seems to know the track quite well. I think it's only that one bend that you have to learn, really. So, seeing it's a short track, yeah, I think it's good to have these short tracks for these cars. I mean, it certainly livens it up a bit. And then halfway through the race, you come on the back markers, and yeah, that makes it interesting again. Then, so there's a few short tracks. I think we ought to do more of, really.
Well, we will get more because we have Brands Hatch Indy next, which is going to be even smaller lap times than this with the extra 2 laps that we have to do. But thank you for joining us as always, Barry. Wish you best of luck in the next race.
Thanks, then, Connor. Cheers.
Well, that is about all we have time for here in this Monday night edition of the Monday Night Skippies here at the Suzuka East Racing Circuit. We will be going to Brands Hatch Indy next week, and that is definitely one you do not want to miss. See you guys.